Hi, hello and welcome back. Long time no see. So in today's video we're going to basically be killing two birds with one stone. I wanted to talk about products that have really surprised me in a positive way, and I'm also doing my absolute best to talk myself out of one of the new cream color quads from Tom Ford. Ever since Martino demoed Olive Smoke, I've been, fantasizing about it, and there's someone on Vinted selling it brand new for under 50 euros, and that's a really good deal considering the price of these is around 90 euros. So anyway, this prompted me to think about products that are just as good in my collection, and then one thought led to another, and I thought I could make like a whole video of it talking about makeup that has surprised me while talking myself out of Olive Smoke by Tom Ford. Anyway, let's get into it. So I've already done my base makeup because you can literally watch any of my previous 10 videos and you will see that I do my base makeup in exactly the same way. But in case you wanted a quick rundown, Estee Lauder Double Wear as foundation, Dior Skin Correct under my eyes, Prada finishing powder, and I've got a bit of the Too Faced laminating brow wax, through my brows to create the laminated brow effect. And the first two products that I'm going to talk about, my bronzer and my blush, are both from the same brand, and they both surprised me. And they surprised me few months, through the months after I purchased them. So we're talking about the Hermes Plein Air bronzer in the shade Totori, which is this bronzer right here. Oop. And the blush from them, the Rose Hermes blush in the shade Rose Tan. So the thing is, if you go back to the video that I first posted with these powders, so that's about a year ago, I want to say in the spring of 2024, after I had gotten into Hermes lipsticks. I'm now going to take a little bit of the bronzer. I gave them a somewhat lukewarm review because I was a little bit disappointed that they don't feel as hefty as their lipsticks, like the outer packaging doesn't feel as hefty as their lipsticks. And then I was just like, yeah, it's just a powder. Yeah, it's a nice powder, but it's just a powder. And then I started using them, and the more I started using them and comparing them to other powder products in my collection, the more I felt like I didn't quite give them a fair chance. Because once I started using them a bit more often, I started to appreciate several things about these powders. First of all, their texture. I don't really know that I can describe to you how incredibly silky smooth the texture of this powder is. It's lightweight, it's silky, and it just glides on the face. The other thing I really enjoy about them, and I think a lot of these types of luxury powders have this effect, but I really love the effect these create. They have that beautiful filter smoothing quality to them. So they will blur your skin a little bit, adding to improved skin texture. What I really enjoy about these two is that they are also quite buildable. Now, I have the lightest shade in the range, so that could be one of the reasons that I find this bronzer to be so buildable, but there's just something about the formula that tells me that probably all of the bronzers in the range, unless you buy the deepest shade and you are the color of sheet paper, they're probably all going to be just as buildable. And I really like that in, color cosmetics like this, because it's just so user-friendly. You can't overdo it. You can apply a little bit less if that's the effect you're going for. You can apply a little bit more. The only possibly negative thing that I will mention about this specific bronzer is not so much about the product itself, it's about the shade. Because the thing is, in the whole range, I feel like there's no really neutral shade of bronzer. On the website, Totori looked like this is the shade 01, so it's the lightest shade in the range. And at least in photos, it really appeared as if it would be a rather neutral color. But as you can see also on my skin, this definitely has a yellow undertone to it. And I don't mind the yellow undertone in a bronzer because I can use quite a variety of different undertones of bronzers on my skin, because I have neutral to slightly warm / olive leaning skin, so I can pull off quite a few different undertones of bronzer. But for those of you who have cooler skin and want to get one of these bronzers, I don't know that there's anything in the range for you. I think they're all yellowy or orangey leaning, so unfortunately they just haven't given us quite a neutral shade yet, or at least not to my knowledge. Now, if I felt bad about the bronzer, I felt even worse about the blush, because maybe I said it in my original review as well, this is a gorgeous shade. This is essentially the blush of my dreams. It is a neutral, slightly toasty color. There's a very strong toasty undertone to it, and there's a bit of rosiness. It is the perfect Mariam color blush. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm thinking this actually looks quite similar to the shade that I want from YSL, the Nocturnal Nude shade, which still isn't available in the Netherlands, by the way. Ironically, you can swatch it in store. I didn't ask if they actually have it in store, in stock, in store. I don't even know if that shade is ever coming here. If it comes here, there's a very, very big chance that I'm going to purchase it because I'm a sucker for these kind of shades. Anyway, I felt even worse about the blush because the blush has that same beautiful texture to it, that gorgeous color, the same blurring quality, and it's just the perfect like nudie toasty shade for my skin. And I think I mentioned it in my yearly favorite rankings that this blush was very close to making my top 10 favorite makeup products for 2024. But that's also one of the reasons that I think it is good for us to revisit older products, because sometimes you change your mind. Some products that initially blew you away, in the following months are like, you find yourself not really using them a lot, you find yourself finding flaws that you didn't really see the first time you used them, and other products that initially gave you a bit of a, I don't really know whether I like this feeling, and then over the course of the next few months you fall more deeply and deeply in love with them. And yeah, that was really the case with me with the Hermes bronzer and blush. I really, really enjoy these. A highlighter that surprised me is a new release from Lancome. This was released in the summer of 2024. This is officially called the CE Skin Transforming Highlighter. And mine is in the shade medium because I bought it over the summer and I wanted to have a shade that I can immediately wear. And to be honest with you, I think that this is a shade that easily suits lighter skin tones as well, because right now I'm quite light and I think this shade works for me. So I purchased this together with the bronzer, and while I like the bronzer, I love the packaging of this, by the way. The tortoise shell with the little golden logo here of the brand, the packaging truly is stunning, and I enjoy looking at both of these. But for whatever reason, I just never was quite super impressed with the bronzer. I feel like it does a lot of things that other luxury bronzers do, and other luxury bronzers maybe even do it a little bit better. But what really surprised me was the highlighter. I bought the highlighter kind of on a whim because I wanted to check out the formulas of both, essentially. And then I bought the highlighter and I found myself using it every other day. So the first few weeks after I purchased this highlighter, I just used to wear it all the time. It's a metallic formula. As you can see, there's quite a significant amount of shine to it. There's no glitter, there are no like particles of any sort to it, and I think for a finish like this the formula is actually quite lightweight and it's quite, again, buildable on the skin. You can apply it quite lightly, which is I think what I did just now. I applied a very light layer of it and I think it looks just enough highlighted to look as a highlighter, but I don't find that it emphasizes texture. I think it's a beautiful color, gorgeous balance between a little bit of gold and a little bit of pink and a little bit of neutral tones. It doesn't lean too yellow gold, it doesn't lean too pink, it's just quite well balanced, and that's also something I really enjoy about this highlighter. What a beautiful like balanced undertone it has, and I just have really enjoyed using this highlighter. It came out of nowhere and it really surprised me. I thought, okay, you know, it's a highlighter. Can a, you know, metallic formula type highlighter really impress me? But I was really impressed. I really like this. It's gorgeous. I think it's a beautiful shade for my skin tone and I have enjoyed using it ever since I purchased it. I zoomed in a little bit and this will be the part of the video where I convince myself that I do not need Oli Smoke from Tom Ford. Repeat after me, Mariam. You do not need Oli Smoke from Tom Ford. So I'm going to try to dupe Tom Ford with Lancome and YSL. The thing is, the Tom Ford color story has Mariam written all over it. There's a gorgeous olive colored green, there is a beautiful bronzy, sandy, the color of dirt to quote Stephanie type of color, and I don't really care about the rest of the shades if I'm being honest with you. There's a black, solid, and there is like a light champagne-y goldy shade. Fine, don't care about it either. The reason I am attracted to this quad and the reason I'm rationalizing in my head buying it is because it's the cream quad formula and I really like that formula. I purchased Rose Topaz in December. Once again, I found it on Vinted for 40 something euros. I really love that cream color quad formula and I think that's one of the reasons that I'm sort of justifying in my head buying the quad, because I think, well, I have it, you know, I have all of these colors. It's almost like an edited down version of the Midnight Sun palette. If you were just to take out the neutral shades, there are so many similar shades in the Olive Smoke Quad with Midnight Sun, but they are a different texture. And I also have beautiful shades that are similar to the shades in the Tom Ford Quad in my Lancome and YSL quads. So that's what we're going to be using today, and we're going to start with my beloved Bronze. Actually, no, we're not going to start with Bronze Absolute. No, we're going to start with Bronze Absolute. Yeah, we're going to start with Bronze Absolute from Lancome. So this is a product that really threw me off my game, like came out of nowhere and just swept me off my feet. I've talked about this on many occasions on my channel, so I think by now most of you know how I feel about these quins. So these quins from Lancome, they look just so unassuming and so almost like boring old lady makeup, because the packaging is so dated, not modern. There's nothing about these quins that in the 21st century calls out to you. The only reason I went to check them out, and I think I told that story when I demoed this, the only reason I went to check them out is because Zendaya was on display, like on the picture of their display, and Zendaya is, you know, a young modern woman, and I thought, well, if Zendaya can rock Grandma Lancome makeup, maybe I can too. So I went to swatch these eyeshadows. I had never swatched them. They've been in store for ages and I never even bothered looking at them, let alone swatching them. So then I swatched a couple of them, and I swatched this specific color story, and I thought, oh, that's actually really pretty. I love the like slightly taupey, like neutrally undertones of the browns, and this olive green obviously has my name written all over it. So then I walked out of store, I continued thinking about it, I went to get lunch and a coffee, and I went back to buy it. And then the real surprise was once I started using them, because what I didn't realize is that the formula of these is so unexpected. The formula of these is like a cream to powder. It's not a standard powder formula, but it's a cream to powder formula, and there's something so incredibly flattering about how that formula looks on the eye. Now, I'm not going to use some of my favorites in here, which are the matte eyeshadows today, because I'm going to use shades from YSL as well, but I just wanted to mention what a surprisingly stellar formula these Lancome quins have. But today I'm just going to use the olive green shade, because there's a olive green shade that looks extremely similar in that Olive Smoke Quad from Tom Ford. So I'm just going to use this olive green here to trace my lash line and create a bit of like a faux wing liner effect just using the eyeshadow. They're just so stunning, there's no fallout, they're so creamy, they just look so flattering on the eye. I absolutely love them. This is one of my favorite formula, especially for the matte eyeshadows. They're just so incredibly flattering on the lids. Like, you put them on and they immediately serve the same purpose that those Hermes powders were serving. They just immediately blur the skin of your lids. And if you have a little bit of texture, that texture just disappears. Okay, like I mentioned, the second shade that has me in a tight grip from that Olive Smoke Quad is this beautiful, sandy, the color of dirt, you know, bronzy gold shade. And what do you know, there is a bronzy gold right here in my beloved YSL Clutch Quad in the shade Overbrun. Most of you will know the story, like know the history of me with these quads. I did not have a very successful start with the YSL Clutch Quad. I bought Casbo Spices, I didn't really enjoy Casbo Spices, I decluttered it, and then I sort of like these quads were not on my radar. For at least a good year, these were not even on my radar because I thought they're just not for me. But then I saw several people, Alicia Archer, most notably Alicia Archer, demoed this specific color story, and I thought, ooh, is it maybe time for me to revisit the YSL Clutch Quads? And gosh, I'm so thankful that I revisited them, because this has turned into one of my favorite like luxury quads in my collection. I use it at least once a week and I absolutely love it. I think it's versatile, I think the undertones are so flattering on me. I love all the shades that are in here. I love the combination of the textures, because you get basically 4 different textures in here. You have this beautiful smooth matte, then you have this more satin type formula, then you have this satin matte, and you have this beautiful like glitter wet looking topper, and they just work so well together. Now, like I said, the shade in the Tom Ford Quad that I'm lusting after is this one that I already have from the YSL Clutch Quad, and I really like the texture of this eyeshadow. So I figured maybe if I were to apply these two together, I would be convinced not to buy Olive Smoke. It will be hard because Olive Smoke is still in a slightly different formula, but these also have a beautiful luxurious formula to them. So I really do not need to be purchasing yet another color story that I already have. Like Rose Topaz was a worthy addition to my collection because I think Rose Topaz has quite a unique presence to it in Tom Ford's, you know, range and in my personal collection. So I definitely feel like there was space for Rose Topaz in my collection, and I really enjoy Rose Topaz both in formula and in color story. Today I'm doing this specifically for you. I'm going to do my brow bone highlight with you because one of you mentioned that you actually really enjoy, and it gives you a lot of like satisfaction seeing how a brow bone highlight completes a look. This is a ancient eyeshadow that I have from Inglot in a skin color, at least like my skin color, that I use to clean off the edges here under my brow bone. I don't use shimmery highlights on my brow bone a lot, and right now I already have like a shimmery shade in my crease. I think it would just be complete overkill if I were to put anything shimmery on my brow bone. But yeah, this was especially for you day. I don't think I'm going to do this again because it's just not a step that is worthy of, you know, wasting your time with. Something that the Tom Ford Olive Smoke quad doesn't have is a beautiful like glitter topper type of shade, and I am going to now dip into the one here from YSL, which is absolutely beautiful, and I'm just going to put a few flakes of that over the sandy shade. And maybe this was not the correct brush. You know what? I don't think this was the right brush. I'm just going to use my finger. I'm just going to use a bit of this shade on my finger and swipe it over the golden sandy shade. And a little bit of that olive green liner. So, is this a look that I can achieve with shadows that I already have in my collection and are equally high in quality? Yes, I can. So I really do not need Olive Smoke. I'm going to take a little bit of this skin colored eyeshadow stick from Kiko to apply here in my inner corners because I want to use an inner corner highlight shade. We're actually going to go back to the Lancome Quint now, and I am going to use one of the mattes because I truly want to show you what a stunning formula these mattes from Lancome are. But before we do the mattes, I'm actually going to apply a little bit of this shade here. Now this shade is not quite light enough, but I think over the Kiko eyeshadow stick it pops a little bit more. The metallic shades in here, I wouldn't even call them these two. I wouldn't even call them metallic. They're more like a satin metallic formula. There's no glitter in there. They're very smooth, but they are truly gorgeous on the skin. But it's really the mattes where these Lancome Quints truly excel. Okay, I'm going to take this mid-tone type of brown, and they look very dark, but because of the specific formula that they are, so this very, very creamy formula, again, they're very buildable. They don't pack an instant punch like a powder eyeshadow would. They're very, very delicate. So I'm going to use a little bit of this eyeshadow here on my lower lashes. And I wanted to mention how beautiful this formula is because yesterday I did a look that I really liked with Rose Topaz, and I had a green eyeshadow on my lower lashes, like a perfect match for my sweater, that I found in an old Inglot palette. And the thing is, I've gotten so used to these formulas now, which have that smoothing effect on the skin, and also on my lower lashes, where, you know, under my eyes I have quite a bit of texture, I have wrinkles and stuff, so flattering textures, like flattering formulas, are something I've truly started enjoying when I do my lower lashes. But it had been such a long time since I used a very like dated formula that I didn't realize just how much I had gotten used to having these like filtering, blurring type formulas under my eyes here, because I put that green eyeshadow and it's a beautiful eyeshadow. And I'm not saying that the Inglot eyeshadow formula is bad. In the meantime, then they might even have tweaked it and improved it. I'm not sure, I haven't really bought Inglot in ages. But the eyeshadow that I put underneath my eyes yesterday is over 10 years old. So first of all, its age is probably starting to show, but it was just very powdery and it did nothing for the texture under my eyes, okay? You could still see all the wrinkles. Whereas I put this eyeshadow on and I can immediately see that the skin under my eyes just looks blurred. And last but not least, a lipstick formula that came out of nowhere and surprised me in the best possible way, the Prada Soft Matte Lipsticks. I purchased a bunch of Prada products in January or like the winter of last year, and I was pleasantly surprised by the whole brand. I've been positively surprised by Prada makeup period, but these lipsticks, these like soft matte lipsticks, they shocked me in the best possible way. There is something so interesting about the formula of these. They're so plush, they're so soft, they're so blurring on the lips. They truly improve your, like, the texture of the skin on your lips. They are incredible. This is another purchase that was heavily influenced by Alicia Archer. This is the shade Sedona. I have also the shade Cyan in this formula, and I also have one lipstick in their Hyper Matte formula. Their Hyper Matte formula is also really nice, but there's just something really special and surprising about their soft matte formula. It's just like nothing else on the market. I've not experienced any other lipsticks that quite feel like the soft matte from Prada. So I'm going to put Sedona now. They're not intensely pigmented lipsticks. They are very buildable. They can be applied as a little bit of like a stain on your lips. You can build up the color if you want to, and they last so incredibly well. They last surprisingly well. I think I talked about how I wore this specific shade on a day when I was traveling with my boss to like a consortium meeting, and we were in the car together for a really long time. I think maybe I did a bit of a touch-up when we stopped for coffee, and then I didn't really look at my lips anymore until pretty much like the evening time, and I was so shocked when I went back to the hotel room and I realized the lipstick just was still on, and they feel really comfortable, they feel really creamy, they're not drying at all. Just such a surprisingly gorgeous formula. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that I'm going to have the self-control and the willpower to forgo these new cream color quads from Tom Ford, because the peachy one is just colors that I have over and over again in a variety of great formulas, and Olive Smoke, as much as I love it, as much as I love that formula and that color story, I already have it in beautiful formulas. So again, repeat after me, we don't need to buy Olive Smoke from Tom Ford. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to know what makeup surprised you in the best possible way. Let's chat about that in the comment section below. As usual, thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!